Hey you, welcome back to the Rooted Life with Vang. This is the Daily Root where we walk and talk and get real about midlife, business life, farm life, and everything in between. I'm La, and around here it's all about slowing down, or trying to in my case, to do a lot more of that, listening in and finding meaning in the mess and everyday magic of life. So if you're new here, welcome to the channel. And if you're an existing subscriber, welcome back. And on today's talk, it's a little bit of a personal one. It's about how midlife is changing me, or the weird ways in which it's changing me, and perhaps also you too. So come along for this chit chat. So, one of the things that midlife has changed, surprisingly changed about me, is that I am actually craving for a lot more simplicity now. And over a year ago, I started looking around me in my home. I'm gonna go sit down over here. Started looking around me in my home, and I just couldn't believe at the amount of junk. They're not all junk, but I couldn't believe at the amount of stuff that I've collected over the years. And one of them was my closet. I had to take a good look at it and say, do I really want all of this stuff hanging in my closet, taking up space? And the answer was no. I needed to get rid of the old and bring in some new stuff, or perhaps just streamline everything and decide if I really want to. And so I went through a whole purging process. It took me it was basically a whole month long, where every week I would just go through my closet and make a decision. Do I really want to keep this? Do I really need this? And does it even add any value to my life? And the truth is, have I even worn it in a long time? So I actually just, without thinking too much, I just threw everything into a bag that I know I'm not going to wear anymore, and ended up just donating, I want to say roughly about 65 to 70% of my entire closet. That was very freeing for someone who was so tied to some of these clothes. I mean, the truth is I barely even wore them anymore. So it was only a matter of time, and I'm kind of glad that I did it, because now my closet, one, looks a lot better. It's more clean, it's more streamlined, but at the same time, I just realized that I actually really never needed any of it. And I needed to keep a much more simple, basic, not only wardrobe, but just how that translates to my life. And most likely, I'm probably going to go through another purge again this year, just because I'm seeing that things are not being worn and they're just hanging there, taking up space again. So that's one aspect of my life, or at least the simplicity that I'm trying to bring more into my life. The other stuff that I would have to say, that I'm really trying to, not that I'm really, that I've noticed uh, me bringing in a little bit more simplicity, is just doing stuff, especially in my garden. And I'm working on posting a video about it too, but I was so ambitious on so many things, and sometimes my ambition gets, I'm like way in over my head with the amount of stuff that I want to tackle, the amount of stuff that I want to grow here. Last year, I just kind of, I want to say maybe like a silent protest to myself too, protesting just myself to say I'm not doing this anymore. So I just kind of let everything go last year, not do too much gardening. Everything just kind of overran. And so this year, I think actually I haven't gone through that. This year, I'm simplifying everything. We actually have a whole row garden that we would plant a lot of stuff, and we actually lease a portion of it. But I took a portion of it just to kind of grow some of the things. But I realized that it's just becoming too overwhelming, and I need to simplify not only the way how I do things, but also for my own peace of mind. So this year, I went ahead and decided I'm just gonna go and, we're not gonna garden or plow or till that area, that 1 acre area anymore. I'm actually just going to work only on the flower beds and the couple of patches that I have in my food forest, my supposed food forest that I was trying to build, and then I abandoned that because it just became too much, unrealistic. And again, like I said, I'll share. There's a video that I'm working on sharing with all of you about my attempt at building a food forest here on the farm. So just simplifying some of the my garden planting this year, I think I feel so much better. And maybe for the first time, I'm going to feel as though I will actually enjoy being outside, just working in the garden and working on growing stuff as opposed to weeding, which was a lot of work. And so the simplicity of it, at least in my mind, I feel so much better about it because I sometimes jump in and get in way over my head and then I can't, I just get overwhelmed. Some of the other stuff that, as I look at just simplifying my life, and I never really thought that I would actually even go down this route, was just not needing to show up on things anymore, events, people, even family, unless it's important to me, especially family and also friends. I realize that sometimes you stretch yourself a little bit too much and you forget about taking care of yourself. And so I went through this whole process over the last couple of years where it's like, if it doesn't do me any good and if it's not going to benefit my family or anything, then if I have time, then I'll attend. But I'm learning to just say, no, we're not going to work on that. We're not going to do that. I need to not have, I need not to go out of my way to do stuff anymore. And so just simply saying no to a lot of things has really helped me now, especially as I'm getting older, because you do look at life very differently. And I know that I have shared it in other previous videos, but in the last several years, my husband and I have lost so many family members who are very close to us. One in particular, our eldest son, passed away tragically in a car accident. And that makes you really think about life, what really mattered. We worry so much about all of this doing, and sometimes it's all about just the simple stuff of just sitting down with those who truly matters, or those who matters to you, and creating the simplicity of that life with everyone, a simple life, and not worrying too much about trying to be all things for everyone. I think has really shaped us in so many ways to just lead and be a little bit more simple in our thinking and our approach to how we want to do stuff with everyone else outside of our immediate family, just our little tiny unit. So that has been very interesting for me. And I'm kind of glad I did, a clean closet, uh, just saying no to people, has really helped me quite a bit. I'm sitting here, I feel like bugs are crawling on me. Um, and then the other interesting thing, the second interesting thing about what midlife has done to me that's quite surprising is I crave a lot more now these days for peace and quiet and silence. I've always been, unless I absolutely have to. I mean, I've one part I can, and I was trained to be an extrovert for work because you just need to do that. But I realized that I kind of, unless I absolutely have to, I'm finding myself more and more just running away and needing, not running away, but running back to my home here on the farm where I actually crave the peacefulness of being amongst all my feather friends. And after a long, chaotic day, because I'm dealing with people on a daily basis. And not that I don't love my customers and those who come and hang out and come and say hi to me at the food cart and etc. But after all of that, in my younger years, as soon as things are done from one busyness to another, I'm ready to just jump back into another busy stuff. And these days, it's all about just the simplicity. It's all about the silence, the quietness. And so I find myself nowadays needing more and more just coming home, I guess coming home to roost and not deal with um, the chaos out there. And I never knew, or at least I never thought in a million years in my 20s and 30s that I would actually find myself moving to a farm in Oregon and enjoying being labeled as a chicken mama and working in the garden and on the farm and just hanging out with my chickens. I think sometimes I'd rather spend my time hanging out with all of my feather babies. For whatever reason, I don't know, they just bring me a lot of peace. I haven't really gone into any, hustling, bustling city life. In fact, there was once upon a time in my life where I really did enjoy and crave the city life of, you know, just crazy. Anyhow, once upon a time, I used to crave the hustle and bustle of the noise, the chaos of city life. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with it. I do still once in a while enjoy doing that, but I think as I approach 50 even more now, I really want to avoid a lot of that as much as I can because it's just too stressful for me. And so that was very interesting to kind of see how how getting older, or at least hitting midlife, has really changed me. Third thing that I think midlife has done to me, um, and this is perhaps more on a physical level, all things, maybe physical and mental, but physically, and if some of you ladies know, your body go through all these hormonal changes. I mean, I love the fact of TMI, but the lack of menstrual cycle, I love that. I'm not gonna lie, I love that. But the other thing that comes along with it is the hot flashes. That's kind of crazy. It comes and it goes. Thank goodness I'm not always cold. I'm rarely ever cold, but I am a hot body person and I'm even hotter now. Not in a good sense, but I can sit there and my body would just get, drenched just sitting there on the couch. That's not the greatest, but I guess it comes along with getting older. On a physical level, I'm grateful that I've always been a very active person. In fact, if you notice in some of my couple of clips that I've done, you'll find me out in the forest trekking up mountains. And that has been wonderful. And I was grateful to friends who encouraged me very early on in my 20s to focus on strength training. And I beefed that up during my 30s into my 40s. And that has helped me maintain a lot of the muscle mass that I have. They allow me to maintain my active lifestyle and also allow me to continue to be able to do stuff here on the farm because it is sometimes it's very physically demanding here. I mean, we're not doing anything for others. We're just trying to, just a daily chore of just the upkeep of the farm, from taking care of the flock to carrying heavy stuff to even when we're planting, doing, gardening. It's still, it requires a lot of heavy load, and I'm grateful that I can do that, continue to do that, even as I push 50. And, that's not old. I know that. But I noticed that my muscle mass has declined a lot faster now if I don't focus on it. And so that was very interesting, which then leads me to, being more prone to injuries. And I don't like that. I feel like I am just more prone to injury. So what I've been doing a lot more now is I've always been active, and of course the gym is part of my life, but just really beefing up my strength training just to maintain whatever I have left. Just because, as my friend once said, when I was just focused a lot more on running because I was training for some of my half marathon, as he said, it's great that you're doing that, but I'm going to be honest with you, you need to focus on strength training, because he was a personal trainer himself and a physical therapist. And he said, how are you going to pull yourself up when you get older and you have no strength? You think running is going to help you get yourself up? And that kind of struck a chord with me. I kind of knew what he was saying then, in my mid 30s, but now that I'm approaching 50, his word really resonates with me, and it makes so much sense now, because he is right. There are some days when things happen and I'm not at the gym lifting weights and strength training as much as I should, because there's been months when we just got so busy with other stuff, and noticing that my muscle mass, I'm not as strong, and so sometimes just squatting down and pick up stuff, I'm like, you really feel it. So that then forces me to get my act together and go back to the gym to train on some weights. But so that was very interesting. I think the other thing that, as I've mentioned, is the mental capacity that I have. I'm still sharp for the most part, but if you're anything like me, I have become so forgetful these days. There are moments where I will tell myself, go back in because you forgot that one bag or that one thing. And I come back in, I grabbed something else thinking that's what I need. Wasn't even thinking about it. I saw, I grabbed it, I left. I sat in the car and I said, wait a minute, I was supposed to go in to get this. So I come back and I actually did that like 3 times. In fact, that was just last week. And I was like, what the heck is wrong with me? Is it busyness or is it just being in midlife? I have no idea. I think I have to do a little bit more research about that. But I'm not liking it. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not liking it one bit. And I have to change that, or at least try to figure out a way to get some of my memory back, because I can't sit here and say I'm more busier. And it could be that too, but the forgetfulness is something that I was not prepared for. And reading glasses. Oh my goodness. I used to make fun of my mom when I was in my maybe up there getting closer to 30. And I would not make fun of her, but I was like, Mom, why would you have so many reading glasses around everywhere? I've become that woman now. I think I have reading glasses just about everywhere. Everywhere you can think of, in my car, in my purse, next to my bed, on my nightstand, by my computer desk, at the food cart, you name it. I probably have like a dozen or so just scattered all over the place, because one, I need to make sure that it's there when I need it. And two, most likely I'm going to forget that I even need it. So I need to have it readily available so that if I look at it, it's there. Otherwise, if you ask me where was the last time I saw my other reading glass, I'm just not going to remember. I already know that. So, but yeah, I cannot believe it. I just can't believe that I'm at that, that I literally have to have reading glasses. So that's very interesting. Who knew, right? That we have to go through all these changes as we age. Not only midlife in the 40s, but my goodness, going into your 50s, a whole different other ball game. I mean, at least when when I turned 40, it was very slight changes. But going on 50, I'm noticing some dramatic differences. So that's it. That's a very interesting thing that that's a very interesting thing that I didn't realize that I would be facing. So anyway, that's just some of my talk on this daily route. I'm just out. It's a cool evening. I went to check up on all my feather babies to make sure they're all okay. To give some medicine to a couple of my girls. They've been under the weather a little bit, so I have a little bit of some antibiotic I needed to give them. Hopefully that they will be on the mends. But so anyway, after I'm done with that, and it's kind of, the sun is finally setting. It's not as hot as when I came out earlier, and it's kind of nice sitting underneath my little nook here on the farm, away from everyone. The chickens are finally back inside, not harassing me for snacks or anything. So I just thought I'd come on and do a chit chat and do my daily route. And so anyway, I'm gonna start walking back to the house. And so anyhow, walking back to the house now. I just wanted to say hello on this daily route, and hopefully you don't feel as hopefully you understand some of the things that us midlifers are going through. So anyhow, comment below. Let me know what some of the changes that midlife is that you're currently experiencing in midlife that you didn't expect, or at least you kind of expected it, but you didn't think it was going to be like this. So until the next daily route, I want to wish you all well and have a wonderful day whenever you tune into this video. Take care and bye.